everybody. Welcome to Shared Screens Media Club, your one-stop shop on discussions, reviews on all things movies, video games, TV shows, but not books, which apparently LeighErin's telling me are important to read to kids. But that was a different conversation.
Read to your children. Read to your children. It's very important to their development.
Yeah, but then stop at some point. Today we are discussing She-Hulk episode 6, Just Jen. We are recording this a couple of days late because I couldn't do this wedding episode without bitching about some stuff with LeighErin. So this is going to be a fun
I had food poisoning,
girl talk episode. Brett was supposed to be here, but now it's just the besties.
Brett's streaming. Go support Brett. It's still September.
Yeah, twitch.tv/JimTasty. Also use his Epic Creator code if you play Fortnite.
And while you're over on Twitch following at Jim Tasty, if you don't already, make sure you follow at Shared Screens. We do stream on Twitch. And because it's just me and Jordan here and there's no one to tell me I can't do this, also while you're there, follow at Orphan Gamers. Jordan and I are going to start streaming real soon now that we're both settled into our little adult homes and I have a gaming computer. I don't know if I'm going to stream Assassin's Creed Odyssey, but because I'm real bad at it.
I've been considering doing a very fun, unique stream that I'm still working the kinks out. LeighErin, don't ruin it, but it's going to be a game.
I was going to say, let us know in the comments below if you want it, but
no, I just want to do it.
I think it's the type of unhinged behavior we need to bring to our channel that is just us. So
yeah.
Chaos Twins rule.
Chaos Twins rule. All right. Anyway,
Chaos Twins reign. All right.
Like I said, we are discussing She-Hulk episode 6, Just Jen. In this episode, Jen gets invited to a family friend's wedding, which was funny for me because I was at 2 of those this summer.
This also brings up a separate but interesting point to me that we can dive into once you're finished with your spiel.
Oh no, I was going to hand it off to you. What do you want to get into?
Oh, this episode infuriated me for a couple of reasons. Here's the thing. I am one of those people that weddings do not need to be stressful. Humans being ridiculous make them stressful. So my first thing that made me mad, I understand having to invite family friends and like previous friends to weddings. I get that. However, I don't understand needing to make them a bridesmaid, especially because you're not related. Because like, especially when you're out of groomsmen. Because here's my thing, is like, my family, I'm not going to name names, but my family has very close family friends. They have a daughter that when I was in high school and college, I was super close to. But as time has gone on, we have just grown apart, partly because we live 4,000 miles away from each other now. And also just like life happens, you know? I will absolutely invite her to my wedding, but she's not going to be a bridesmaid.
I will be.
Like, yes, Jordan will be. That's not even a joke. That's not even us being stupid. Jordan legitimately is going to be one of my bridesmaids.
We've played
like I have the suit that you're gonna wear. I'm gonna turn my game down. I have the suit that you're gonna wear all planned out. He's gonna be in a colored suit with black lapels that matches the color of the bridesmaids' dresses. It's gonna be great. Yeah, I'm really excited. It's fantastic. Except it's not like that Patrick Dempsey movie where they do that, but the bride and Patrick Dempsey fall in love at the end. Jordan and I have no interest in marrying each other. It's truly just him being my bridesmaid.
Yeah.
My dad, the first time I told him that, was like, why not ask your fiance to make him a groomsman? I was like, because I want him. I want him with me. It's mine. Not fun for him. He's not with me.
Yeah.
Like... Yeah, so I just didn't understand the, like, making her a bridesmaid.
See, I almost assumed that they wanted the dog there so bad.
But then make it the ring bearer, like everybody else does.
That is a fair point.
Like, you know, like, I feel like everybody who's like, I want my dog to be in my wedding, which is weird. But, like, I want my dog to be in my wedding. Like, you make it the ring bearer, you hand it to, hello.
Cleo's not going to be in your wedding.
No, Cleo, I love Cleo more than I think every human I know. And she's not gonna be in my wedding. A, she doesn't want to. Look at this trash gremlin. She does
Not
not want
only
to be
is
in
she
my
not
wedding.
just going to be in your wedding, Cleo will not be at your wedding. Like, no one is making
No.
sure to go to, like, before they go to church, like, wait, we can't forget Cleo and sit her
We
in a
have to pick up
pew.
Cleo. No, you know where Cleo is gonna be during my wedding? In my home with a cat sitter, most likely. Depending on when I'm leaving for like how the honeymoon thing goes.
I think I was talking about this as if you have a wedding in the works.
I know.
We're really
Um,
talking in the present tense right now.
and I'm not there yet. I'm not ready for that step in life.
I'm
Um,
27. What am I, a child bride?
okay, here's the thing. I do sometimes because I'm a woman and I must live by the pressure society puts on women. Sometimes I am like, oh my God. And also because my sister married so young and so did my parents. Because my parents got married right when my mom finished her master's, and my mom started her master's right after she finished her bachelor's. So she was 22, I think, and my dad was 23. They got married very young, which is like adorable. But my sister also got married very young. Granted, she had known that person since she was 15. Like they had known each other a really long time. So I'm not saying she like got married too fast. I love George. George is listening to this. I love you. I'm glad that you two got married when you did. Don't I'm not making fun of you, to be clear. Um and so like every once in a while I'm like, "Oh my God, I'm 26." I'm like, I'm not married. I'm not like, in the next year I'm not going to be engaged. Like I know that's true. Like, oh my God, I'm getting old and like I need to get married sooner. It's not going to happen and I'm going to die alone. I go into that existential dread.
LeighErin,
And then other times I'm like, I'm 26. What am I? A child bride? Like, and surely I'm like, I am a child. I cannot be married to another human being.
you've known this for me for about this is literally what I go through all the time as the oldest only boy of an immigrant family whose younger cousin got married before him and went to two different family friend weddings of people that are basically my age. It's been a tough year to be me around my grandparents.
Yeah, it's just like I don't know. I don't know why I have that panic because like also I get it with you where there's a cultural aspect to it where there might be like a little more stress than I'm necessarily feeling because I don't have that cultural pressure. I also don't have my parents pressuring me because do you know who else is fully aware that I am not ready to be married?
Your
My
parents.
parents.
Yeah.
Because up until recently they were helping support me. So like I get it. Um I just yeah, like panic. Anyways, the bride, however, I did agree with Jen when and like thought the card that said, "Will you be my bridesmaid?" and then you open it and it's like, "Duh, of course you will." I thought that was funny because my sister and I talked about this when she was sending out like the gifts for her bridesmaids. She was like, "It's rude to say you're a bridesmaid, but asking feels dumb because they're not gonna say no." So like
I mean, I think that there are some situations where somebody might say no.
yeah, but like they're
Because
they're
like
few and far between.
no, because like it could be for a multitude of reasons where just like let's say right now like one of my friends in my friend group is engaged. I don't know when he's gonna actually get married. But now let's say his wedding lines up with
Oh, I remember.
there's two of them.
Yep, and I remembered both.
Yeah. Let's
We're
say
good.
one of their weddings land close to like a close family member of mine who's about to get engaged. Obviously, I have to give priority to that. So if they were to be like, send me the thing, be like, do you want to be a groomsman? And something like, hey man, like it's not a personal thing, but like I have
Yeah,
another
but like that
commitment.
conversation is gonna happen there because like the only time I can think of somebody I know turning down being a bridesmaid was she was like, "Hey, no," it had to be to the bride. "Hey, like no one else knows this because we haven't told anybody yet, but I'm pregnant. uh, and when your wedding is, I will be like 8, 9 months pregnant and would like to not be standing up. God forbid my water breaks in the middle of your wedding. Maybe I should be a guest."
I can't believe I'm
Like,
gonna steal your thunder.
yeah, it's like I don't want to steal your thunder. So
Yeah.
maybe let me sit in the audience. Which I thought was totally cool of her to say too.
Yeah.
Of like, I don't want to accidentally like
Give birth at your wedding.
yeah, I want to be able to quietly leave me and my husband quietly slip out. if my water breaks. So,
I mean, but what a bridesmaid entrance that would be.
oh my God. I think if that happened to you, if you were walking somebody down the aisle, especially if it was like one of your friends where like you know their girlfriends, but you don't know their girlfriend's
Girlfriend's
friends
friends.
well. So
Yeah.
like you're walking one of them down and this woman you met today, you just start water just breaks.
I don't know what I would do if anyone around me water broke.
Yeah. I mean, we all know Seth Meyers didn't handle it well.
No.
And that was his wife.
Yes.
Um, but yeah, so that was very funny to me because like yeah, most girls feel obligated that unless it's something like, oh, a family member's getting married or like I am pregnant or like something like that, um, you can't really say no.
Yeah.
Like it's one of those things where like if you're gonna say no, you have to have a real fucking good reason.
I've also seen it where like people ask like in person privately first and then send out the gifts.
Oh yeah, I've only ever seen it where like, but there's also, this is the other thing too though with bridesmaids is like I know at this point who my bridesmaids are going to be.
Yeah.
I know that all five of them will not say no. Um, Short of catastrophe, you know? Um, so like, like I don't need to, I know what all your answers are going to be because like, we've also had those conversations.
Yes, I've
Like
I've I've
that's
known for a while I'm gonna be a bridesmaid.
And like Victoria and I say all the time that we're going to be in each other's weddings. Taylor and I say all the time that we're going to be in each other's weddings. Like, you just like, like I know my sister is not going to say no. Like, that's not a like, it is assumed.
Yeah.
My sister's also going to be my maid of honor, but that's because I feel like the most responsible person in the room. I need the calmest and most responsible person in the room as my maid of honor on that day because I panic and get upset about absolutely everything. And my panic response is to cry. And like that can't really happen. Um, so, you know, I need somebody who's not going to make jokes like Jordan, who's going to remain calm, like it's just I know myself it's going to be one of those situations where I need somebody who is no nonsense and is like this is how we're going to handle it and let's go. And like my sister has that in spades, especially since having kids.
Yeah.
Like it's fine. um but yeah.
But yeah, no, I think I understood them being like, oh, she kind of had to make me a bridesmaid.
I don't.
I
You
think
have to invite her.
I think it would have been
But
more
like
sense if they were cousins
mhm,
instead of family friends.
that I get.
Yeah. Um,
Um
but then you have to be like, well, Bruce is also a cousin. Is he supposed to be here, or is this from the other side of the family? And if it's from the other side of the family, does that mean Ched's her brother? Because then why is her brother DJing?
that is her brother.
Ched isn't the bride's brother.
No, he's Jen's brother.
He's Jen's cousin.
I thought he was Jen's brother.
No, because she said my cousin. When she was explaining it to Nikki, she said my cousin Ched is DJing her wedding.
I just heard Ched and then I got distracted by that.
No,
Um
but yeah. So I think that inherently, just some things about weddings are going to be stressful, but not every minute has to be a stressful one unless you
Where
make it
I'm
that
going
way.
with this stressful thing is the second Jen went, look at this dress that what's his name made for the rehearsal dinner. And I realized that she was going to this wedding as She-Hulk, and all of those scenes that I thought took place on a vineyard or what's his nuts compound were this wedding. I was like, no, you are not
No,
going to this
see?
wedding as
But I
She-Hulk.
thought the
You are
whole
not
point-
doing this.
I thought the whole point of the clothes he made her was that they were going to be able to stretch. So it was going to fit her in Jen form, and then if she had to She-Hulk out, it was going to be just fine.
Yeah, no, I got that it's just for her because it was like for her to wear to work and events as She-Hulk.
Yeah.
Um,
And I think it's, I mean, you talked about this on the phone. they made the bride a bridezilla. I don't think her being like, "Hey, can you not be She-Hulk at my wedding?" is really is an unfair request.
The minute she like kind of said that she was going as She-Hulk, I was like, "No, you're not. That's a joke. You're only going to the rehearsal dinner as She-Hulk. You're not going to the actual wedding as That's not happening, right?"
I just think going to She-Hulk as any
Going
as
to a
She-Hulk
wedding as She-Hulk.
at any point, rehearsal, whatever, is just like, I don't know how to explain it, but it feels like unless you've decided you're going to take that form on 24/7, which we haven't, and it was just until last episode that we kind of got the character arc that you're okay with being She-Hulk.
Yeah.
It seems like you're clearly going as She-Hulk to this wedding for a bad reason, and
Because
that
you're trying to look good to these people from your past, and like that is not how anybody should be walking into a wedding ever. That is the wrong energy to go into a wedding
oh,
with.
I
And
think
if
it's an
that's the
okay. I
only
think it's an okay energy to go into a wedding in. That's where we disagree. I just think you can't make it that obvious.
you can't do when you are going to a wedding. Part of the reason that weddings are so important to girls, besides all the society shit and whatever, is how much work we put into it for usually 2 years before the day of, and how much money has been sunk into it. And so there's a lot of stress of like, this has to be the best day of my life because what the fuck was this all for if it's not, you know? Um, and everybody's focus in the wedding party, not necessarily guests, but everybody's focus in the wedding party needs to be making sure that the focus of the day is on the bride and
Oh, the
groom.
wedding party, yeah.
Yeah. With guests, like, I'm going to be real here. There are some guests that go to weddings that I'm convinced the bride and groom don't remember that are there. Do whatever you want, you know? Like, if you're just a friend from high school who got invited because your families are close, like, do whatever you want. If you're in the wedding party, no. No, no.
Yeah.
Unless the bride is requesting ridiculous things like that you pay for everything and all that kind of stuff.
Or that you buy a puppet.
Or that you buy a puppet. Jesus fucking Christ. Or that you buy a puppet. Whatever, just like do it. Like, if they don't want you having, like, my sister at her wedding wanted all the bridesmaids to have their hair up because she was having her hair down because of the neckline of her dress. I get that. She had like a half up, half down, curly hairdo. She wanted all the rest of us to have our hair up. What?
What's with this new bridesmaid trend of every girl is wearing the exact same shade of dress, but somehow it's a different cut? One's got one sleeve, one's got strapless, one's got frillies. I feel like it's got to be more uniform. I remember going to weddings as a kid,
young,
and they were way more uniform.
Because we're young, and the dress I may like for a style and what I want may be out of the price range of some of my bridesmaids. So a lot of women are trying to be understanding of the fact that like none of us really have money to burn. So buy what you're going to be comfortable in and what you're going to use more than once. Because if I tell you,
but how can you get the exact same color like that if it's not
because that's
the
how
same
bridal
brand?
shops work. Because that's how bridal shops work.
Ah.
Bridal shops, they have like the colors are uniform across, like the dress I bought for the Bridgerton podcast from Birdie Gray, that is Birdie Gray, their dusty blue color. Any dress you get in dusty blue is going to be some version of that shade, because obviously colors look a little different on a satin versus a chiffon. Like, you just kind of have to there's nothing you can really do about that. That's just like what it is.
Mm-hmm.
But it's all the same color. So like if you're getting your bridesmaid's dress from like David's Bridal, you can go in and say, this is the color, this is the number of the color that I want you to get. Any dress they have that is in this color, that is normally, there's also whether they want short or long, because people have like opinions on that. I want you just to get whatever dress you will be comfortable in that is in this color and is long. Other than that, live your life. And it's because bridesmaid dresses cost $250. Like, Groomsmen, it's another one of those things where groomsmen have it way easier because you can just go in and rent a tux. What are you doing? It looks like you're jerking off.
I'm playing with my little wrist cushion.
Stop. Um, it does not look like that on camera.
My hand's facing this way. Okay, whatever.
No, you can just see your shoulder. So all you see is your shoulder moving back and forth. You can't see anything below about here.
Gotcha.
Anyways, you guys can rent a tux. So it costs you what? $150 to rent a tux?
I think I had one cost a little bit more, but it was like a nicer tux. So like I've seen it get up to the 200 range for tux rentals.
And if you hate the tux, you don't have to take the tux home with you. You return it to the rental place.
The bullshit
You
is
do
they
not-
make you return it the next day.
Yeah. You're not stuck with it. That does not exist for women. So whatever bridesmaid dress we have you in, you have to buy. So if you don't like it, you just bought a $250 dress you will never wear again. The other thing
Why
that it
has
gets
nobody
in,
come up with a business where they rent bridal dresses?
because pink tax, basically. They know they can charge women money more and make them buy all these dresses, so why would they set up a rental? Because men looking good isn't as, there's not as much societal pressure on it. And tuxes, if you buy a black tux with a black cummerbund, a white shirt, and a black bow tie, you can wear that to multiple things. So, like, you know, the other side of it is there's an inclusivity thing where I have very big boobs and
Good
I have
for you.
hips, but no real butt, and I'm short. What is going to look flattering on me is not going to look flattering on, say, Taylor, who has a flatter chest but has a bigger butt than I do. They're not, the same cuts are not going to look good on us. And so in an attempt to make sure that your bridesmaids are comfortable and just not in a dress that looks terrible on them and doesn't fit right, letting them pick out their own dresses is better. And also sometimes you get into a thing because fashion industries like to ignore plus size women. The dress you want does not exist in plus size. So how you can eliminate the one or two plus size girls you may have in your party from being standing out, where it almost looks like, oh, look at them, like they weren't skinny enough to get the regular dresses, you know? And it also gets into, one is a mistake, multiples is a choice. Where you need to commit to things. Like, the best example I've ever had with men is when Keith Habersberger from the Try Guys got married. He had like 7 groomsmen. And he had 2 best men. And one of his best men, they were in the hotel room getting ready. He comes out of the bathroom and goes, "The dry cleaner didn't include my pants." And it's a Sunday, or a Saturday, and they're all running around, and the dry cleaners is closed. So now they're looking for all of these places. And Keith went to Eugene and was like, "I don't know what to do. Like, what do we do? Like, do we buy a separate, like, what do we do here?" And Eugene was like, "You can go to a store and find something, but you need to get one for the other best man too, because then it will look like you are the groom, your 2 best men have a little bit more flair in their outfit, and then you have your regular groomsmen all in gray, because it needs to look like a choice, not a mistake." The best part of this is the dry
You
cleaners
told me
included
this.
the pants. They fell onto the floor of the closet, and my favorite response to it was when his wife found out, like, 3 months later. She was like, "I looked at Keith and went, did you ask just any woman for help?" Because any woman would have said, "Did you look on the floor of the closet?" Like, just any female person. Like,
Maybe it fell.
because it truly is, you have 8 men in a room on a very stressful day, and when you have 8 men in the room, the intelligence has dropped significantly. Because I truly think in any other setting where he hadn't been drinking and wasn't with a bunch of guys and there wasn't stress, Eugene would have thought to himself, well, did you look on the floor? But they all just assumed that Brian looked on the floor. Like, it's one of those things where it's like, just ask any female for
It's
like what to
it reminds
do.
me of How I Met Your Mother's wedding episode when Marshall fucks up his hair, and eventually they get him a hat, and they go, "We thought of Native American headdress before we thought of hat."
Like,
Like, keep it simple, stupid.
men, please always remember that. Two things. Keep it simple, stupid. And if you hear hoofbeats in Central Park, don't think zebras. Go for the most basic thing first. Men, when stressed, just go to like DEF CON 5. When I was a kid, we had family friends, and it was all the kids and the dad. And one of us, it wasn't me, but I don't remember who it was, went and like we're at the Poughkeepsie Galleria. And you know how the Poughkeepsie Galleria by the benches has those huge plants that like a little kid could very easily disappear behind and you wouldn't be able to see them.
Yes.
One of them did that. And when they realized and didn't immediately and called the name and they didn't immediately come out, my first response was, I'm going to go let mall security know. Why? Just look in the area first. We don't need mall security yet.
Check like the closest stores that like has something that would distract them.
Look behind the plant. Just literally
Look behind the plant.
around the area.
Look at every store, be like, which one of them has stuff my kid wants?
Yeah.
Like if
what
I
are
ever
we
disappeared
doing here?
in a mall around my mom and then she just looked and there was like an electronics store or a GameStop within like the next 4 stores, she's like, I know exactly where this motherfucker went.
Yeah. I also think your mother would look behind the plants.
Yes.
Because a woman is going to stand up in that situation and be like, realistically, where would a child hide? Where could a
and
child
where would
just...
they have gone in these past 3 seconds?
And where are they going to think? Because, like, I knew, and I'm sure you knew, like, we would be in so much trouble if we ran away from our moms, even if it was just because we saw a store we wanted to go to. Like, we would be in huge trouble for that.
Yeah, so assuming the kid wasn't misbehaving to that extent,
it's literally just that they walked.
Try to think of the vicinity that they might think is still within acceptable limits.
Yeah, and like what they like, kids like to hide and like giggle and be found. Like, what could a child realistically hide behind here?
Yeah.
Not let's go get mall security. Like,
Okay.
come on.
But anyway, about the episode, because we're like half an hour in, and I think we've mentioned 4 things about the episode.
Well, okay, I'm gonna be real with you. I like She-Hulk. I just never really have a ton to say about it.
Yeah, no, but I like that we're on the same page about the bride was not a bad person for being like, don't be She-Hulk at this wedding.
The reason the bride was a bad person is that she was having a wedding on a Thursday for some fucking reason, because let's make everything inconvenient as shit to everyone at this wedding.
And not even like, it didn't even sound like it was a holiday.
No. It was just on a Thursday, because if you get married on a Wednesday or a Thursday, it costs like 30% less
Because who the fuck is getting married on a Wednesday or a Thursday?
Exactly. And it's literally just clearly all of this is that she is very cheap.
Unless all of your friends are public school teachers and it's a summer wedding.
Yes, if it's summer and like summer's a little bit different because people have vacations already, they take vacations, you know.
But still, I feel like most people's jobs continue in the summer.
Yeah, but like in the summer, a lot of like
that's when you're
how, like,
using your PTO anyway. So if you know a year in advance, oh, my next year my vacation is this wedding.
Yeah, you're getting save the dates like at least a year in advance. So like you know and you can plan for it. And if you have to travel somewhere, you can kind of plan it of like, oh, this is truly going to be like a mini vacation for me. Like I'm going for the wedding, but I'm also gonna go
go a few days earlier, I'll stay a few days later.
Yeah, like if I got married in California, like that could very easily be something people do where they're like, oh, well, I'm going to California for LeighErin's wedding. I'm going to stay a few days longer and do Disney and Universal and like do like touristy stuff in LA, you know?
Yeah.
So when it's in summer, I get it. Or if it's in that period, this is a very cheap time to get married too, just so everyone's aware. In that period post-Christmas, but before New Year's, I get that too, because again, people can
I
plan
no,
great
I feel
vacations
like
during
that's
that time.
worse than a regular Thursday because like who the fuck has time to jump to a different place for a wedding in that week and then go back before New Year's?
People that aren't your family. You have to remember, Christmas is not a multi-day experience for everyone.
It's not for me, but I'm saying is you get 1 week between Christmas and New Year's, assuming you're going to spend those at the same place to go back
Yeah.
and forth within a week.
Is you'd have to do that normally. I mean, my sister got married Thanksgiving weekend.
I guess the destination's always like, well, who's traveling where?
Well, okay, I'm also not saying destination weddings. This is for people who just like may have to travel because like if I get married in California, I'm not having a destination wedding. I'm getting married where I live.
It's a
People
destination
just
for
have to
you.
travel there.
Yeah.
Yeah, the destination is my guests have to travel here, and that's kind of the point. Um, that's not true. I don't have it. I really, because I'm the youngest, I don't really have a lot of people that like I have to invite to my wedding that I don't also want there. Because that's just part of being the youngest.
That must be nice.
Yeah, being the youngest in your family, you usually end up technically I have cousins that are like 2 years younger than me, but they're in the same boat. Like people die, friendships are broken, relationships are shattered to irreparable damage. Like I said, there was somebody my sister did not want to invite to my wedding. My parents didn't want him there. Like none of us wanted him there, but we had to invite him because like it's a whole thing. And they would all get mad at me because I was like, why? It's Caitlin's wedding. She doesn't have to invite. You don't have to do
Oh, I'm
anything.
already thinking of like when the time comes for me, like the 5 cards, like who I want to play those cards on. Of like they're this.
Yeah.
I will get I think up to 5 cards of like I'm not inviting that person. There's no argument,
Yeah, you get like
and that's
I
not
was
including the ones I feel like my parents might already agree on.
I was very much like, yeah, I can think of a couple people in your family that I don't think you need to play that card on because I think your parents are there too.
I think we could think of it one
I
specifically.
think we're thinking of the same thing.
Yes.
But I was like, you don't have to do anything. And my mom was like, with weddings, you do. And like, when you get married, you're going to have to invite them. I was like, the chances of us still talking to this person by the time I get married, because when my sister got married, I was 19. The chances of this happening by us still talking to this person by the time I get married are pretty much 10%.
Yeah.
Like, it's so low.
And I've got
And spoiler alert, we don't talk to that
the
person anymore.
90% one who would
And we're never going to talk to them ever again.
Yeah.
Like that relationship is done. Like
The thing that I think like what I always say is like rather than invite somebody that I don't really know or don't really like, I would rather invite somebody or a group of people that I used to be very close to and just I have no ill will towards, but I'm not as close as they used to be for whatever reason. Like for example, my mom's probably going to get me to try to invite like a distant second cousin that lives in Westchester whose grandfather's cousin is my grandfather's brother or something like something
yeah,
like
like
that.
when my sister had to invite my dad's godfather's family because they were close with my grandparents.
Exactly. I would rather be like, or I could invite like the group of people that I used to do theater with 6 years ago and haven't really seen since, but like used to mean a lot to me. And like, I don't hate when I run into them at the mall or something.
You're a nicer person than me.
Well, I'm giving an example. I know that you've had different relationships with that, but you get what I'm saying. If I have to fill up those seats,
I get it. Yeah, I'm very much a person. I've said it to my parents before. I was like, there are family members or like distant things like, because I don't have a big family.
Yeah.
Inviting my godfather's family is not like a huge deal to me, but like realistically, I don't think anyone I used to do theater with.
But
that
I'm
I
not
don't
saying that
still
you had
currently
to.
talk
I'm
to.
not. But I'm just saying, like, I'm sure there is some level of activity or thing you like a person that is in your life that was once there, isn't now, but you don't hate or have ill will towards. There's like that middle ground.
Nope.
I
don't have anyone in that
You're
middle
a very
ground.
polarized person.
Because like I have friends that I don't talk to consistently, but they're relationships where I can reach out, like the family friends that I talk to you about all the time, that we've been friends with since I was like 2. I don't want to name names. Like I know I could reach out to any of them at any point, and our friendship kind of just picks back up.
So
Their
that's what I
parents
mean.
is
Is
the same
I have
thing.
people like that I personally met through theater.
But I
Yours might
talk to
not
them
be
like,
that.
but my thing is, I talk to them at least once a year. Like, I talk to them consistently.
Gotcha.
We send Christmas cards to each other. Like, I consistently know what's like every one of them I can name exactly where they're living right now and like what situation there is. There is no we've lost touch. It's just we don't it's not like you and I where we talk every day. Although
Yeah.
you and I are a little
We were a little
codependent. So
different
like
because like I don't even talk to my other best friends every day.
no, Jordan and I talk on the phone almost every day.
Me and you are incredibly codependent. It's a little
Yes.
worrying.
Jordan went on a cruise when we were in college, and so he didn't have signal for us to really talk for like a
It
week or
was a
so.
week. Yeah.
And like I kind of didn't know what to do with myself. It was kind of like somebody had like cut off a finger where it wasn't like a major loss. Like my life was not over. I was not going through serious rehab, but something was missing and it was a very weird experience.
Aw. We're cute.
But yeah, so then Titania showing up.
Yeah, that is almost like also that was kind of when I was at the bride, like, bitch, come on. How do you not see this?
But you also get into a whole thing because it's not she was the plus one to a friend of the groom. And like
I guess it depends how realistic was that was going to happen.
well, it's kind of like unless you so my sister had a rule for her wedding that it was no kids and which a guest broke and I was furious and I wanted to yell at them and my sister wouldn't let me and I was like, but you specifically did not want this and like specifically asked for it and they could have gotten a babysitter and they just didn't because they got a babysitter for their other kids.
I don't think I could do a no kid wedding.
I mean, this was our families are just very much like my family's mean is where I'm going
No,
with
I'm not
this.
saying that. I think the reason why I personally think I can is like assuming, and extrapolating by the time I get married, there will be people that are close enough in my life that I couldn't say no kids to.
Why?
Because like they could be like my cousins who I'm very close with is basically like a brother to me, his kids.
Get a babysitter.
But like they're kids I would want there. Like my own nieces, nephews, stuff like that. I don't know.
Oh no, my nieces and nephew, like my nieces will be.
Yeah, I feel like I wouldn't be able to.
Nobody
be
else's
like,
kid.
Yeah, that's no kids. And then you have your exceptions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then that's how my sister's best friend, who was my sister had two maid of honors, me and Jess. And when she got married, her wedding was also no kids except for my nieces.
Yeah, see, I guess like
Which is partly because they were flower girls.
Yeah.
But
the issue I would have is going to be like, you know who I'm talking about. I'm not going to, but somebody very close to me is about to get engaged. And the person that person is getting engaged to, they have nieces and nephews that are.
They don't need to be at your wedding.
The way my culture works,
Your
they would.
brother-in-law's
the way
nieces and nephews, dude, unless their parents are at your wedding, which they don't need to be.
They would be.
Like,
that's the thing. They would be.
George, I love you, but your parents are not going to be at my wedding. Just because I don't know them. I've met them 4 times, and one of them was at the wedding. Like, I don't know them very well.
But yeah, I don't know. With Titania, it just felt like
Sorry, I had a college professor named Tatiana, so like I just keep
you keep
saying
it.
Tatiana.
Yeah. I'm just like, this is a little too convenient just to be a coincidence.
Well, it's one of those things where like I was trying to think about it and like obviously my sister knew all of her bridesmaids plus ones and all of the groomsmen's plus ones because they were all her and George's friends and their significant others, or in my case, Victoria. Who I wasn't allowed to choose my plus one. Caitlin told me you're getting a plus one, but you're only allowed to use it if you bring Victoria. And I was like, thanks.
Rather than just invite Victoria and not give either of you plus ones.
Well, because she wanted Victoria to be able to sit at the head table with me. So she needed to like let the venue know that Victoria was one of the people that was allowed at that table.
Gotcha. So
yeah.
the easiest way to do that was by making her your plus one.
Yeah. Which it was great. I loved having Victoria there, but like it was a very weird. Caitlin like monologued at me about how like she didn't know if the guy I was dating at the time was gonna last, and she didn't want her wedding photos to have some random person in it, and kind of made me feel like a hoe. And so she was like, "So you're allowed to bring Victoria?" I was like, "Okay, thanks, I guess." I was also
But see,
very insulted because I was very into the person I was dating at the time. So like.
but like I also kind of get where like
As an adult, I get it. As a 20-year-old who was deeply into the person I was dating, I was upset.
well that part I get, and I also get being like, oh yeah, like I'll let my sister bring a friend, whatever. Like I don't give a shit
Yeah,
if it's
and
a
like that
friend
was the
that
other thing
like you
too.
know that well.
And they knew Victoria really well because Victoria would see George around Marist. And before that, George and Caitlin lived with us for like most of my senior year while they were still like getting on their feet and finding an apartment. And so Victoria was my best friend senior year. So Victoria was always just kind of around. And whenever she was at my house, Kayla and George were realistically also at my house. So like they
Yeah,
just got to know Victoria. And also, how do you not love Victoria? Like,
yeah.
you know,
No, I totally get
my
that.
family loves Victoria. Victoria's taking care of my parents' cat right now. But yeah. So it was just one of those things where I was like, but beyond that, the people she gave plus ones to, like her friends from college, like her sorority sisters, I don't think she knew who the plus ones were before her wedding day.
That's fair.
She knew that they were bringing a plus one and she knew what meal their plus one, or no, she didn't even know that because since she got married on Thanksgiving Day weekend, it was on a discount. So it was you ordered from a menu that day because she was able to get a higher package for like cheaper. So there wasn't even like marking like what entree. So yeah, I think all that was on their RSVP cards was, are you bringing a plus one? No, it was just because they didn't let people request songs. Um, so yeah, it was just, are you bringing a plus one?
Gotcha.
I don't think they knew. And even if they did for like place cards, I don't think Caitlin knew who some of them were beyond my sorority sister's boyfriend.
Yeah.
Um, Sorry, I made a poor decision to tweet about Avatar, and now all these people keep tweeting back. All these mad
No,
film
you're good.
bros keep tweeting back at me.
But yeah, that dude was very good at flirting. Good for him. Was it
Oh
Jonathan?
my God, I know.
Yeah, he was just like, oh, I was just gonna flirt with a girl eating candy nuts.
It was very
It
funny.
was very good. Yeah.
Um, However, I know it was a bad day for her. Don't get that sloppy at a wedding, especially if you're a
Don't
bridesmaid.
don't get that sloppy at a wedding.
You cannot be throwing up in the bushes at a wedding. That
No.
you cannot be that
When
sloppy.
she was like, "Oh God, it's gonna happen," I thought she was about to She-Hulk out for the first time, like uncontrollably. And then when she was throwing up, I was like, "But if you just She-Hulk, won't you just not metabolize it right then and there?"
Yeah, but Jordan, think about when you were throwing up in the bushes off my driveway after that night. Could you have made any conscious choice to do anything with your body in
I'm
that
not
moment
sure.
besides throw up?
And then after Titania walked up to her and just decked her in the face, I thought Titania poisoned her.
I thought for a second that Titania may have drugged her.
Yeah.
Especially because they were focusing so much on how her vision was split, and that I've been terribly drunk before, and my vision has
I've
never
never
gotten
been
messed up
that
like that.
drunk. Yeah.
Like, I don't know if you ever had to wear those like drunk driving goggles that are supposed to be what it's like to walk when you're over the legal limit of alcohol, and they just make everything like upside down and cross. I have never felt like that while intoxicated. The only time my vision has ever been an issue was the one time I was drugged in a club.
Yeah. Or it might be that if I've ever been
To be
that
clear,
drunk.
sorry, that was dark. Really quick. I was fine. I figured out what was happening very quickly. I went to friends. I asked them to take me home safely. They took me home, put me to bed. I was fine. Like everything was
I didn't
perfectly
want
fine.
to talk about it too much because I was like, that's on you to talk about.
Yeah, no, everything was fine. It was not bad. Like we reported it to the club, like they handled it, and like I was taken. Nothing happened to me.
Yeah.
I just had a really bad hangover the next day.
The only thing I could think of is if your vision is ever that bad, that must be like, I don't remember because those were the same nights I blacked out.
That's the thing is I think that's just part of it is I've never blacked out before.
Lucky.
Um, yeah, I definitely
Actually,
have
I don't know if
brown.
I'd say lucky. It's kind of fun not knowing what you did. It's like a little puzzle in your life.
I don't like that. I like that like sometimes I brown out where like I don't really remember what happened, but if you like say a word, it will trigger that memory and it will come back. And
Oh,
I'll be like, "Oh,
there's
yes, yes,
also
yes, 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 I do remember that."
the best thing is when you're eating breakfast and suddenly you remember something and you look like Raven getting a vision.
Early. That's what always happened to me in college. Is sometimes when I got really, really drunk, I would wake up the next morning and I'd be like, think I know where I was every step of last night. Granted, most of the college parties I was at were in my house. There wasn't a lot of trouble I could get into.
That's true.
Um, I was a little bit still a little bit of a homebody in college, and like unless it was at a close friend's house, my boyfriend's house, or my house, I really didn't go to parties.
You went to the clubs.
We did, because Marcella's was a great time.
Yeah.
Great time. Um, Highly recommend if you're in Buffalo. Check out Marcella's. It's so much fun. However, I can no longer drink rum after my 21st birthday.
Oh, that was a good night.
It all makes me the smell of rum makes me want to die. Um, Rum and sour mix, because the shot that night was $5 Captain Morgan shots. So everybody would be like, "Oh, LeighErin, let me buy you a shot or a drink for your birthday," and they would do that because it was the $5 drink, $5 shot. At a certain point, I realized that if I drank any more rum and cokes, I was going to vomit. And so I was like, I gotta switch it up. So I got a vodka sour because I loved vodka sours in college.
Yo,
I
I
can't drink
still
those
fuck with
anymore either.
vodka sours. Or
I cannot drink them anymore because of my 21st birthday.
amaretto sours also fuck.
I don't like dark liquor is part of it. That I've just accepted and I've stopped trying to make myself like dark liquor.
Yeah, but amaretto is so sweet. I feel like calling it a dark liquor.
It's got, they just, dark liquors just give me headaches and they all burn. Just no matter what, they just all hurt. Um,
See, I come
it's
from a
why I
family
straight up,
where all the men only drink scotch. Like if they're gonna drink
my
anything,
dad
they drink
drinks,
scotch.
my dad mostly, and so did my mom, mostly drink whiskey and scotch. Um, I don't like it. I remember the first time my mom let me taste Jameson's, and I was like, "This is nail polish
Jameson's
remover."
is different.
Yeah, it was like 12-year age Jameson's, and she let me take a sip of it because I was like 16. It was a really nice bottle, and she was like, "Here,
Yeah.
you're not going anywhere." Um, it tastes like nail polish remover. I still think that to this day. When I went to go see Hadestown and the person I saw it with got the drink and it was just basically a glass of Jim Beam, they were like, "Want to try it?" I was like, "I'm good." It's nail polish remover. It's all
Yeah.
nail polish remover to me.
Um,
Um,
but yes,
I'm very much a tequila girl.
we
I
know
like tequila and I like vodka, and that's
that. I know.
about.
I feel like that's like one of the basic things to know about you.
I'm so excited for you guys to come visit just because I haven't had tequila in a very long time because like tequila is a choice.
Yeah.
Choosing to drink tequila is like a statement, and I'm so excited to drink tequila.
All right. So Titania punches her, tries to get her to fight. I was kind of hoping that everybody would see Titania do something first, so that way the blame couldn't be on Jen for being like an instigator or something.
I mean, it didn't end up being on Jen anyways. So
Yeah, they ended up with her being like, "I can't believe She-Hulk's at my wedding," which is just like, all right, bitch.
sometimes when you're drunk, things seem different. It's just,
Yeah, I think she
Um,
saw the clout that like that was gonna cause
no,
too.
I think she forgot She-Hulk and Jen were the same person.
Oh, is that really how you read into it?
Yep, I think she was drunk, and in her drunk brain, she went She-Hulk, and her brain was too buried in champagne for her to like make that process, that final connection. Um, but my big takeaway from the fight was her heavily implying that she had to like fight to get these powers and has them because she wants the attention.
Oh yeah, like Titania's whole thing about like you don't deserve these powers.
Yeah, that you didn't have to work for them and you don't even want them.
Yeah, and it's like, what do you mean by that? What did you do to yourself to get these powers?
Hmm. Um, the entire storyline about Mr. Immortal was the stupidest thing on the planet, and I
I
don't
thought that
want to
was
talk about
really
it.
funny. Like, fuck him. Fuck him to death. But you can because he's
There are
immortal.
3 episodes left. I don't care.
That's true. It didn't really do anything for the larger story. It was
When
just like
she looked at the camera and went, "This is going to be a totally self-contained wedding episode," I was like, "Fuck!
it's like
Of
we can't
fucking course
afford
it
that
is!"
right now.
And she goes, "And I know that it doesn't feel like that should be happening right now, but like,
Weddings are
I'm
inconvenient.
excited."
No, then she also made the joke of like, it's inconvenient because weddings always are.
And like, I don't really think that's true.
No.
That weddings are inconvenient to anyone. Like, most of the time, the response I see to receiving wedding invitations is like excitement.
Yeah. She made it sound like this wedding was just announced when she got the bridesmaid box.
Yeah, which didn't make sense because that's not how anything works with weddings ever.
Yeah.
And never has. Like, even in Boy Meets World, like, Topanga explains to Corey because Corey's like, well, let's pick a date before we look at the venue. And Topanga was like, we can't pick a date until we pick a venue. And he's like, why? And she's like, because the venue decides the date. And he was like, why don't we decide the date? Because venues are booked up to 2 years in advance. So you pick the venue and then they give you the next dates we have available. And then we pick what date we think works best for us. And like, that's how it's always been.
Yeah.
Unless you're getting married in like sorry, I'm starving. Unless you're getting married in like a fire station. Like, it's not a quick thing.
Yeah. I've seen people get dates a year out, but that's rare.
Yeah. And it's usually at like not a vineyard where you have this entire building to yourself. You
Yeah.
know? Um, yeah. Like, even in our area, like Villa Borghese is booked out like at least 18 months. And they have 3 spaces for weddings in that building. You know?
Yeah.
So it's just like one of those things.
Yeah. The Mr. Immortal storyline was like, haha, this is funny in the moment, but I'm getting what you mean when I was like, this did nothing for the show. There's been no overarching plot. And it's not that I think the show is bad. Like, I do think individually the episodes are
It's
good.
good. I'm enjoying it. I'm just annoyed because I know how much now is going to be packed into the last 3 episodes. And that's the big complaint with every single Disney Marvel show is they do nothing for the first half or more, and then they pack everything into the second, like, to last episode and last episode. It's
Yeah.
how every single one has
But this
gone.
one, this one's even different where it's like, I can't even tell you what these last few episodes might even be about.
Well, I can because I watched the mid-season trailer because I'm not a baby. Anybody who's watched the mid-season trailer knows exactly what the last 3 episodes are going to be.
Well, I know Daredevil's coming in. We all know that.
Yeah, and like it's Daredevil's coming in. They're going to be fighting goons. They have the entire story, their entire romantic storyline, whatever that's going to amount to. Um, and then there's something else with Abomination because we do see him and his wives on his compound. I feel like I'm forgetting one other thing.
Something
But
with
like that's
something to close into Titania stuff.
I think that's the goons they're fighting is I think has to do with Titania,
Oh
but
yeah,
I'm
no
not really
wait, because
sure.
they also teased that whole thing again. They also went back and teased that someone's trying to steal her powers because now they made a needle that could get through the skin.
Did that say Hulkling or can I not read?
I didn't see any letters.
On the screen when it popped up and it was like, what's the new plan?
I didn't notice that, so I can't tell you.
It was like a 30-second shot.
I don't know why I don't remember this.
This is the other thing too, is it felt like the Mr. Immortal storyline was just a setup for Mallory for Nikki to have someone to tell her not to tell Jen about
About
that like
this.
fake Reddit.
Yeah.
Like which holy shit if that's true, that is a long walk for a short drink. Um
Yeah, like there's a better way they could have went about introducing that subplot.
Um, but yeah, something popped up on the screen and I thought it said Hulkling, but I couldn't. Hang on. Um,
In the
but yeah, that's just
in the Reddit forum, the fake Reddit
no, in the
in
lab.
the lab. Yeah, I do not remember.
Do you remember the lab scene?
Yes, I just remember some hands be, and I then remember the giant needle going into the briefcase.
Yeah, and before that, there is a massive, just a shot of a computer screen where the person is on the forum and a message pops up, and hang on, let me find it.
Okay, yes, yes, Hulkling. That okay. I as a when you said it was the message board comment, yeah, that I remember. I thought you meant like the lab was working on something called Project Hulkling.
No,
Okay, yeah, the message board comment I remember.
no, it's not a comment. It is a
Sorry, and I
dialogue
am
box
yes,
pops up. Yes.
and I am.
Um. Yes, there was a very stupid Twilight reference in this episode.
What was that?
Somebody asks the bride if she's Team Edward or Team Jacob, and the bride turns around and goes, "Shut up."
Oh, I do remember this.
And I was with the bride when she told them to shut up.
'Cause
Why are you talking about that?
why was that even a question?
How did this come up? Um. Also, did you hear the part where they said that they have not been able to get in contact with Bruce because that reminded me that that entire thing still needs to be wrapped
Oh
up.
yeah, because he's going to space.
Yeah.
Wow, these next 3 episodes are gonna have a lot to do.
Yep. Also, it really bothered me that Mallory was like, these are just trolls. Cool, they might be. There are still serious death threats on this website.
Yeah.
And, like, people need to be told.
The problem is like 1,000 of them can be trolls, but if one of them isn't, that's really bad.
Yeah, so you need to treat them like they're all legit. Sorry, the hiccups. Um, okay, really quick.
Yeah, I really forgot how much of this other stuff is about to be wrapped up in 3 episodes. This is not gonna be good.
While intelligentsia appears to be open to the public in the MCU, it may be a front for something much more larger and sinister. Created by Jeff Parker and Paul Pelletier in 2009, the comics version of Intelligentsia is a group made up of Marvel's most devious masterminds. One of its members, the leader, is particularly notable for his history with Hulk and She-Hulk. It was also confirmed that we're getting... Oh, sorry, it didn't say Hulkling, it said Hulk King.
Yes. Okay.
Yes, and he says, "Is the next phase of the plan ready to go, Hulk King?" And it pops up on the computer with all of Jen's like blood work and her photo and all that shit. Um,
Interesting. So the leader might be in this as well as Captain America.
I wouldn't be surprised if like we had an end credit scene where we meet the leader in this,
Especially if maybe they're going the route of like, oh, Intelligentsia is like a extremist fringe group because they're going after She-Hulk and then Sam.
yeah, here it is. As Nikki and Mallory dig deeper, yeah, it could be.
It could be something.
Wow,
like,
if Marvel makes the entire plot moving forward is
like
that all of these people are mad that women and people of color are
the new
focuses
heroes
of the MCU, when the big problem that the MCU is having right now is these bitch ass little white boys don't want to accept that all the heroes are now women and people of color,
Yeah.
is going to be so meta, so unintentionally. Oh my god, if that's really where they go, people are going to be so mad at Marvel. Ooh, I hope so. Yeah, as Nikki and Mallory dig deeper into Intelligentsia, we see the administrator of the site is someone named Hulk King, a name that is accompanied by a Hulk emoji wearing a crown. After Nikki alerts Jen about Intelligentsia, we get a view of a lab similar to the one shown in episode 3, featuring a live feed of Jen at the wedding, as well as her vitals and blood makeup. I didn't realize that was a live feed. Now, the entire time, I will bring this up because I want to talk about Josh for a second. His flirting was very good. However, I do not trust that motherfucker. That motherfucker is up to something.
Really? You think he might be with them?
Well, now may be a good time to mention Josh, the guy who takes Shine to Jen at the wedding, stating that he's a friend of the groom. He chats with her throughout the episode and genuinely seems nice. He's the only one that isn't harassing her or giving her chores to do. And that's about as much information as we need to perceive him as an upstanding dude. Unless you're me, because I have trust issues. But then the lab, you see this live stream of them talking at the table. And while they're eating fries and all that kind of shit. And I don't trust that because he has to have set that up.
Yeah.
Um.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, if the live feed isn't concerning enough, a message pops up on the screen asking if the next phase of the plan is ready. The message is from Hulk King and features the same emoji. The scientist is seen only from the neck down, carrying a broken syringe like the one the wrecking crew attempted to use. He sets it next to a case full of 3 larger, much more menacing syringes and closes them. That's a lot to do with only 3 episodes left.
Unless it's literally all one cohesive plot, like all like Daredevil, Abomination, Hulk being
Unless
in space,
it's all coming together at once.
which
But still,
I
that's
will
a
be
lot.
surprised.
To tie all of these together like that is going to be hard.
Yeah, like next week's episode needs to be nothing but plot advancement.
Yeah. Like,
Yeesh.
I just don't. I feel like I'm going to end up not liking the show because I don't understand how they're going to nail the landing on this one.
Yeah. Well,
Like-
we'll have to find out next week. Until, do you have anything else to say about the episode, LeighErin?
No.
All right, yeah. So you guys have to come back next week when we discuss the beginning of the end for She-Hulk. You guys can find us on Twitter. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Bye.